All right, welcome. We are about to dive into a really fascinating puzzle, one that connects our modern scientific world with a super profound idea from over 2,000 years ago. And you know what? It all kicks off with a very, very simple question. So here's the mystery. We all know water is wet, right? But get this. Scientists will tell you that a single solitary molecule of H2O, all by itself, doesn't actually have the property of wetness. So, if the individual building block isn't wet, where in the world does wetness come from? What's going on here? So, the individual part, the molecule, isn't wet. But the whole collective, the glass of water, definitely is. To figure out how that's even possible, we need to take a trip back in time. And I mean way back, to an ancient school of philosophy that, believe it or not, had a surprisingly modern answer for this exact problem. We're headed to ancient India, to a group of thinkers known as the Vaisheshika school. Now, these philosophers were completely obsessed with the fundamental nature of reality. You know, what are things actually made of? And what makes a quality, like wetness or redness, a real thing? The Vaisheshika thinkers, they had a specific term for what they were chasing: guṇatva. Now, I know, it sounds pretty complex, but it really just means the quality-ness of a quality. It's that essential something that makes red red or makes sweet sweet. For the rest of this, let's just call it quality-ness. It's easier. So, their foundational texts, the Vaisheshika Sutras, they give us our first big clue. And it's hiding in this single, really elegant line of reasoning that completely reframes the whole problem for us. In the original Sanskrit, it goes like this. It's a beautifully short phrase, and you know what? The key to our entire puzzle is packed right inside it. And here's what it means. It's actually so simple, but so powerful. A quality is only real, it only has that quality-ness because it exists in a substance. It can't just float around by itself, totally disconnected from everything. It needs a home. Just think about it with an apple. You can't have a scoop of redness. You can't just hold redness in your hand, can you? No, redness only becomes a real observable thing because it has a home. It exists in the substance of the apple. The quality is totally inseparable from the thing itself. Okay, let's go to the next sutra and see how this idea built. Because the Vaisheshika thinkers, they added another layer to this that makes it even more powerful and honestly, incredibly modern. The next sutra adds this critical little phrase here, and this was basically their genius way of heading off a huge philosophical debate before it could even get off the ground. Super clever. What it's basically saying is this: we don't need some abstract cosmic blueprint called universal redness floating out there in the ether to explain why an apple is red. The simple fact that the quality is right there, in the substance itself, is all the proof we need. And this really gets to the heart of how they saw the world. The Vaisheshika school was radically realist, especially for their time. They believed reality is grounded right here in the physical stuff we can actually see and touch. You don't need to appeal to some abstract form of redness to explain the apple. The red is simply in the apple. Full stop. So, you might be thinking, okay, cool story, but that was 2,000 years ago. Why should I care? Well, here's why. Because this exact concept, this idea that qualities arise from the substance or the system itself, it is everywhere in our modern world. Let's just look at 3 quick examples from science, tech, and even math. First up, physics. Think about magnetism. A single iron particle, all by itself, not magnetic at all. But when you get a ton of those particles to align together in a material, poof, the quality of magnetism emerges. It's not a property of the part, it's a property of the whole system. Just like wetness in water, it's an emergent property. Second, let's talk about computer programming. In object-oriented programming, you create these things called objects, like a book. And you can give that book an attribute, a quality, like its genre is philosophy. That quality, philosophy, isn't just floating around in the code by itself. No way. It only exists, it only has meaning because it's a property attached to the book object. It inheres in the object. And finally, formal logic. I know this looks intimidating, but trust me, it's way simpler than it looks. All this fancy notation is saying is that a quality Q is considered real if, and that's what that E symbol means, There exists at least one substance S that has it. We don't need a universal law. We just need to be able to point to one single example. Its existence in a substance is all the proof you need. Okay, so let's bring this all home. Let's tie it all together. What is the crucial point, the key takeaway from this ancient philosophy? The big takeaway is this. Qualities like wetness or redness, they aren't things in and of themselves. They're emergent properties. They need a home, a substance, a system to even exist. And crucially, we don't need some separate, abstract idea to explain them. Their existence right here in our world is all the proof we need. This ancient idea gives us a powerful framework for seeing our modern world for what it really is, a world of emergence. And that leaves us with a final question to really chew on. Think about it. Whether it's something like consciousness in the brain, or the culture of a company, or even the flow of traffic in a city, what else are we missing if we only ever look at the individual pieces? What else do we only truly get to see when we finally look at the whole?